Yeah. Jerem, Milton, Pauls, Thompson, Festerson. Is not here? He's not here at the moment. He's in the back. Okay. Gurnett? Mr. President.
Here. But everyone, well, you are already standing. I've taught you well. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to do a little bit of the invocation today since my colleague, our vice president, did it while I was out of town. But I think it's a good opportunity for me and for us to reflect on the life and the legacy of Margarita Washington, who was the editor and publisher of the Omaha Star. She passed away last week, and it's a great loss for the community in general and for those who work at the paper as well. So if we could have a moment of silence for Margarita Washington. And I thank you. Please remember her in your prayers.
City Clerk certifies publication of the Daily Record, the official news for on February 19th, notified Pre-Council and regular City Council meeting February 23rd, 2016. A current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posting in white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers.
This Omaha City Council meeting is conducted in public and by law may only address the topics listed on the published agenda. The Council will hear testimony but will not engage in debate of issues with the public at this meeting. During testimony, it is not appropriate to applaud nor convey disapproval. These actions detract from the formal decorum of the meeting. At this time, please turn off or mute any electronic devices. Mr. Clark.
Zoning ordinance on final reading planning board attachments, item number 5. Ordinance to approve a major amendment to a mixed-use district development agreement to allow for a new grocery store building and plaza configuration located at 17510 Gold Plaza, providing site development standards. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval, and B is a document submitted by the president of Lakeside LLC opposing.
Public hearing on agenda item number 5 was held on 2/9/2016. Is there a motion or question? Oh, Dr. Thompson.
Yes. Are the representatives from the grocery store here?
Good afternoon. Joe Wieland, 8712 West Dodge Road, here on behalf of the developers.
Joe, is your legal counsel coming?
I am legal counsel.
Okay. All right.
So yes.
Thank you. I was so used to dealing with Mr. Slusky, but my fault.
He's taught me well, hopefully.
Okay. I hear that you have an amended plan. Is
Sure.
that correct?
Sure.
Could you show the council what that would look like, please?
You bet. So, since in the last 2 weeks, since this case was laid over, I just want to give you sort of a brief summary of what's transpired. Shortly after the city council meeting that week, Mr. Slusky and the owner of the developer group, Mr. Louis Schreiber, had a conversation with Mr. Patel of the ownership group to discuss his concerns directly and the ownership's concerns. And at that time, they stated that if we switch the entrance to the loading dock, which, if you recall, used to be on the west end, and moved it to the east end, that they would be supportive of this amendment. And so that's what was done. We submitted those documents to Mr. Patel last Wednesday for his feedback. We didn't hear feedback from them, despite reaching out to them multiple times until about 2 hours ago, stating their opposition to this current plan. And what their request is that we flip the development, or flip the building 45 degrees more so that the loading dock would be on this complete side. The problem is that's untenable given the access points to the circle here, and wouldn't work for loading and unloading. And it would also alter the front of the building so that it faced further west and away from West Center Road. So that's where we stand at this point. We still feel like we've done a good job of compromise here, and have attempted to work with the ownership group, and I've had a tough time in that regard, and this is what we are proposing today.
From your point of view, did you give the ownership of the hotel enough time to respond?
I think so. I think.
How much?
Well, this was discussed a few days after the city council meeting 2 weeks ago. So the idea was there almost 2 weeks ago, and then this drawing was submitted last Wednesday, so almost a week. Not to mention that this process has been ongoing for several months now, and up until 2 weeks ago, we did not know that there was any opposition to this project. So we feel that the opposition has had plenty of time to avail themselves to reach out to us to discuss this, and they've only reached out now in the last 2 weeks and only brought their concerns up in the last 2 weeks. So we feel like they've had ample time to consider this, and we feel like we've done our part to work with them in that regard.
Okay, I've got to give equal time to the opposition, but if you could stay close by just in case my colleagues want to ask a question.
Certainly.
Is there a representative from the grocery store here?
I was the sole representative.
Okay, what about the hotel?
Yeah. Tim Sandwick, 17606 Arbor Plaza. I represent the Hampton Inn. So we do appreciate the fact that they submitted new plans, and it's been about a week, give or take. However, if you look, our position is quite clear. If you look all the way around the circle, there is no business that would be negatively impacted by 3 a.m. deliveries, trash receptacles, viewing, other than our property. So we appreciate the fact that they moved it, but if you look, it's almost even closer to the hotel in regards. So the noise pollution would not be mitigated in any way, shape, or form. All these other businesses close roughly, 9 o'clock at the latest, some of them 10 o'clock, most of them even earlier. It's a circle. So our position is shifting it, and while I understand their position, shifting the building, it's a circle drive, so it may not be, it's not that it's unattainable to get into the dock. They could just drive around. So that's kind of where we stand. We hope by shifting it 45 degrees that it would completely eliminate the problems that the hotel would suffer.
Okay.
Anything else?
And my colleagues may have questions for you. At this time, I'll yield the floor.
Thank you. Mr. Pauls.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could I have
Joe Wieland.
Joe, would you put your map back up?
Sure.
Now, I know the circle quite well, and the last time we discussed this, no matter where you put that building on it, you're going to be affecting people. The time before, I heard that the noise was an issue, but it was the visibility was the issue, so I can see where you changed it. But as I go around, no matter what you do, because where you're moving it now, there's a very nice financial building. You move a little bit more, then you run into Runza. You move all the way around, you run into a cancer clinic and some other, a couple other little restaurants. And over here to your left, you run into a Firestone store, tire store. This is it's a circle. If I were the hotel, if you want them to turn it around, then they should say, well, your hotel should be turned around too, because of the access. They need that so it can be seen. I was not dissatisfied the way it was originally, because I thought that we were talking then about the way it looked, not just the noise. It's a site that's unusual. No matter where you turn it, somebody's going to be affected. Can you tell me how often are the deliveries made in the morning? Is that the...
That I don't have that answer right now. I think that would change or be discovered once it's actually built. I don't know when the deliveries would be or how frequent they would be. I will note that with respect to the visibility, along with this new design that was submitted to the hotel ownership, this was an elevation that would essentially be their view from the hotel. Tall trees covering up the front of the loading dock, and these tall trees here, and shrubbery and what have you. I know that was a concern at the last meeting that we had, and this is a more specific rendering, and we think that it's pretty good looking and covers up the loading dock pretty well.
Okay, so the loading dock should not be the issue, it should be the noise, is what you're telling me. That's what I'm hearing then. It's like trucks unloading, coming in.
That seems to be one of the opposition's concerns.
Okay. And at the same time in the morning, the garbage is cleared from, I'm assuming, the other businesses around there.
I would assume so.
Okay. Well, right now, I will pass.
Okay. Dr. Thompson.
Okay, since there are no other lights, then that's a cue for me that they're waiting on me to make a motion. So based upon the fact that the original complaint was that the loading dock was right at the front door, as in that's where they're unloading and loading their luggage. And now that you've moved it 45 degrees away from the front door, and based upon Councilman Paul's argument that really everybody in the circle is going to be impacted one way or another, which is a good argument. And it is a unique situation, and we may have to just do the best we can here. Based upon those things, I'm going to go ahead, and is it possible, Mr. Clerk, that I move the amended diagram?
They have never submitted an amendment to us, so we're going to have a copy submitted to us to amend that. I don't know if the planning has had a chance to look at that new diagram.
This was forwarded to the planning department last week.
Mr. Fansall, please.
Good afternoon, council members. Dave Fansall, City Planning. We received the same email everybody else did. I forwarded it on to staff to have them take a look at it, but we've never received an official, to my knowledge, we've never received an official hard copy because the negotiations were still going on. So our quick look at the site plan for the changes that they made, and the plaza area and the landscaping looked fine, but we have never received a hard copy of it. But our initial review, it looked pretty good.
That's kind of what I was trying to get at pre-council this morning, but maybe we weren't communicating well. But
we didn't see, again, we received the email, we didn't see any flaws in what they proposed. So.
Okay, so in order for us to vote on the new plan, you need another week to look at it.
I would think so, yes.
Okay. Which is why I brought up this morning, do we need to lay it over one more time? I know my colleague to the left wants to ask a question too.
Ms. Melton.
Thank you. Well, and I guess this would go to Mr. Sandwick. Since we're having this discussion, you initially had said that the amended plan you indicated you like even less. So I guess at this point in time, if I'm hearing what my colleagues are saying, that we're going to, it sounds like this may get approved. Do you have a preference of the original plan versus the amended? Because if you don't like the amended plan, or you even less,
we don't like the amended plan any. We like it slightly more. The one issue regarding the noise issue, that absolutely is true, and that's not, the new plan is not really going to mitigate that. Either way you slice on the back end of the building, you're still going to be interfering, or you're going to hear the noise. But it's also the elevation. That, I mean, we appreciate the fact they've submitted the wall and the shrubbery, but we're the only 4-story building in the area. So regardless of where they put it on that north wall, our guests are going to be able to look straight down into that area, even with, I mean, this is a 1-story design that they've shown you. What does it look like from the 4-story of my hotel? We're the only building that we never close. There's never a day that we're closed, so there's always guests potentially looking right down into that space. If you rotate that building, I understand their concerns, and we're not opposed to the development overall. It's just we're the only business that would be negatively impacted by where they have the dock right now. They could flip it in any side, and none of those businesses are going to be affected overnight, during the day, or by the dock, because all of those buildings are at this viewpoint for wherever they put it. We're the only ones, and that's why we stand in opposition.
Okay, well, I guess my question is, if you had to pick one, would you pick the original or would you pick the
The amended, if I had to pick one.
Okay, that was my question, because if you pick the original, then we wouldn't have to lay it over. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Paul.
Thank you.
I understand where you're coming from, Councilman Thompson. What I find ironic, if you're going to unload on this side of the building or on that side, I don't see the much difference in the amount of noise. You pull the truck up on this side of the building, or you flip on the other side, you're still going to hear the truck backing up. You're going to hear that ding, 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 no matter what. So I just think it's the site we're looking at, and it's one of those unique sites. If you have the truck on this side of the building, or you move it all the way on the other side, there's nothing going to separate enough distance for it not to have some effect out there. Thank you.
Dr. Thompson again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. President. What I heard last week is that there were two concerns, noise and the sight line problems with the front door. And I'm imagining that the hotel is saying the new plan is slightly better because they at least are able to get rid of one of the problems. If it's this council's desire to just vote on what we have, I'll yield to that. I think we need to lay it over one more week is what I think we need to do.
Second.
Yeah, I'm making it a motion.
Okay, motion to lay over 1 week has been seconded. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton? Yes. Pauls? Yes. Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson? Yes. Gurnett? Yes. Mr. President?
Yes.
Number 5 is laid over 1 week.
Now, you're going to have to make sure, sir, that you get all the documents into planning.
Items 6 through 8. 6 is an ordinance to rezone property located southeast of 87th Street and Sorensen Parkway from Development Reserve District and General Industrial District to General Industrial District. A portion the property is also located within the flood fringe and floodway overlay district. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. 7 is resolution the plat entitled Swain Industrial Park is hereby approved. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. 8 is resolution subdivision agreement providing for waste shed management fees is hereby approved.
Public hearing on agenda items 6, 7, and 8 are today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon. My name's Scott Lowes. I'm civil engineer, 14710 West Dodge Road, here on behalf of the owner. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? If not, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem? Yes. Milton? Yes. Pauls? Yes. Thompson? Yes. Festerson? Yes. Gurnett? Yes. Mr. President?
Yes.
6 through 8 passed 7-0. Resolution to rate preliminary plats and plats. Item number 9 and 10 go together. 9 is resolution of the preliminary plat entitled The Shops at...
Oh, you had your light on? I'm sorry.
Oops.
Mr. Armstrong, I'm sorry. Did you have your light on? It didn't come on. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. We did it the old-fashioned way. Raise my hand.
Okay.
No, I just didn't want it. You came down here, and I just wanted to say that building is absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
That you've got down there. Very impressed. You're there in my district, kind of on the border of some others, but it's fabulous. And the fact that I didn't know until a couple of years ago what recycling concrete was actually all about. And it's actually somewhat fascinating. So I just wanted to call attention to the fact of kind of what you do. And I know we see you on our agenda a lot because there's a lot of things that you do for the city, but it seems like a fairly rare thing where you take the concrete from all these pipes that we're taking out of the ground for that CSO project, you grind them up in the giant grinder that I know all of our kids would like to come see and climb on the rock, and then recycle that concrete back into the new project. In my
That's correct.
layman terms, am I stating it correctly?
No, you're right on. Yes. Yes. So we basically, as you guys know, we do a lot of concrete removal in Omaha, and that goes to our facility, which quite a few you got to see today in action. I think it's pretty fascinating if you've never seen it. And so yes, so that'll go to our yard. We'll process it. We'll crush it into smaller pieces besides those big, gigantic pieces. And then we sell that back to sometimes ourself is a good big customer, Swain, but it's open to the public, and any of our competition can buy from us. And there's actually only 2 of us in Omaha doing that. The other one, I think Mr. Granat's in your area, Fuchinero, Conrico. So,
Okay,
I think it's great for the city too, that's our use, and we're putting it back in a lot of the projects.
Well, and I saw a lot of people there today. How many people do you employ?
We employ about 88 to 95, somewhere in that area, just below 100 when we're full force. We're probably 65 people right now.
Okay, well, it's good to hear. And so thank you for continuing to provide jobs and helping our economy grow and making our roads better and recycling concrete, which is fabulous.
Well, we're glad to be a big part of the city. We really are.
So thank you. I didn't want you escaping without us
I
kind of
almost
talking
did.
about concrete recycling.
Yes.
Dr. Thompson.
Yes, there used to be a time when this council would talk a lot about buy the big O, and it's kind of worn off a little bit lately, but I think your operation is a good example of why we should buy the big O. And then some of the council reps that I was talking with over lunch were amazed at how you went from a very small organization to what you are today. So it's a testimony of how you build a business, and there are a lot of startups now that are looking at you to see how to do it. So thank you for being a good role model.
And if we can help further down the road with that, we're a phone call away.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carter.
Item number 9, resolution preliminary plat entitled The Shops at Laredo, replat 1, located at 2334 North 90th Street with a waiver of lot frontage is hereby accepted in preparation. Final plat is hereby authorized. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. 10 is resolution of the replat transmitted herewith entitled The Shops at Laredo is hereby approved. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda items 9 and 10 are today. Proponents, please.
Doug Kellner, 10836 Old Mill Road, TD2, here on behalf of the applicant. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Doug. Any other proponents wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. It's been moved and seconded to approve. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem. Milton. Pauls. Thompson. Festerson. Gurnett. Mr. President.
Yes.
9 and 10 are adopted 7-0. 11 and 12 are one case. 11 is a resolution that's preliminary plat entitled Bemis Campus Replat 1, located west of the Valley Street and 25th Street intersection is hereby accepted. The preparation of final plat is hereby authorized. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. 12 is resolution of the replat transmitted herewith entitled Bemis Campus Replat 1 is hereby approved. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda items number 11 and 12 are today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon. Todd Whitfield, Lamprey Anderson and Associates, 14710 West Dodge Road, here on behalf of the applicant. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Been moved and seconded to approve. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem. Milton. Pauls. Thompson. Festerson. Gurnett. Mr. President.
Yes.
11 or 12 are adopted 7-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, agenda item number 13 shall be laid over 2 weeks for publication and public hearing. Revocation of a special use permit, automotive sales. Item number 14, resolution of special use permit to allow automotive sales in a general commercial district at 5717 North 90th Street is hereby revoked. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend revocation.
Public hearing on agenda item number 14 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any? I'm sorry. Opponents?
That's the Planning Department.
Okay, Planning Department.
Good afternoon again, Dave Fanslaw, City Planning. As we discussed in our pre-meeting, the site has been under code enforcement actions for a number of years. Back in August, we received an official complaint, or last summer we received an official complaint, sent the property owner a letter in August giving him about two and a half months to clean up the site. Back in October, re-inspected the site and nothing had been done to the site. So in November, Planning Board had a show cause hearing to revoke his special use permit for auto sales. At that November meeting, Planning Board discussed and scheduled a revocation of the special use permit for auto sales for the December meeting. Upon staff review and recommendation, Planning Board on their December 2nd meeting voted unanimously to revoke the special use permit for auto sales at this site. I believe what Buster's handing you is latest pictures yesterday that Scott Benson, the code enforcement inspector for that area, took. It shows pretty much the site is in the same condition as it has been for a while. I'm here to answer any questions. James has the file. Scott's here for any questions. If you need me, thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem. Yes. Milton. Yes. Pauls. Yes. Thompson. Yes. Festerson. Yes. Gurnett. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
14 is adopted 7-0, which revokes the special use permit. Liquor. Item number 15. Hero 88 17664 Welch Plaza, Class C liquor license, new application, new location.
Public hearing on agenda item number 15 is today. Proponents, please.
Yes, Michael Huffer, Cassim Tierney Law Firm, 9290 West Dodge Road.
Thank you.
Charles Yin, Big Family LLC, 1223 South 11th Street.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, any opponents who wish to be heard? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Jerem.
Get that house of yours finished yet?
Yeah, almost.
Good. It's a great addition to Little Italy, and
yeah, thank you.
You're a wonderful asset there, and we like what you're doing. So.
Thank you very much. It's a beautiful neighborhood.
No further lights. Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem.
Yes.
Milton. Yes. Pauls. Yes. Thompson. Yes. Festerson. Yes. Gurnett.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
15 is adopted 7-0. Item number 16. Roast at 1904 South 67th Street, Class C liquor license, new application, new location.
Public hearing on agenda item 16 is today. Proponents, please.
Martha Heaps, 14512 West Center Road.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem. Milton. Pauls. Thompson. Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
16 is adopted 7-0. 17 and 18 are one case. That's same applicant, same location, two licenses. 17 is Lead Bellies, Omaha, 3201 Farnham Street, Suite 6101, Class C liquor license, new application, new location. 18 is the same applicant at the same location for a catering license. If you wish to grant this, you need to grant this contingent on they get their proper permits.
Thank you. Public hearing on agenda items 17 and 18 are today. Proponents, please.
Michael Martin, Red Herring Concepts, LLC, 301 North 8th Street, Lincoln, Nebraska.
Anthony Young, same.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Mr. Jerem.
Yes. Welcome to Omaha and
Thank you.
Midtown Crossing, and with a name like Lead Belly, we've got to hear a little bit about what it is you plan to do there. So.
We are a contemporary American pub, kind of along the lines of a gastro pub. So your traditional bar-style offerings, burgers, sandwiches, appetizers, all with a little bit more of a flair, if you will. Our main section is our gourmet burger section, which is the Lead Belly section itself. We start with a patty of your choice of either burger, chicken breast, or our homemade veggie burger, and then we load it up with all sorts of other toppings. So basically, when you see a Reuben on our lead belly section, it's actually a Reuben on top of a burger. Yeah, so they're more than a mouthful. We're also going to have a pizza section there, so we'll have a little bit of everything.
Excellent. Well, wish you luck, and
thank you.
We'll probably have to stop in and try this out. I mean, I might not eat breakfast or dinner that day.
It's a good idea.
You're in Atlanta, aren't you?
No, we are not.
Oh, okay.
No, we are based out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay. We're an original concept.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Well, we asked for opponents. We done the public hearing. Motion approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem. Yes. Milton. Yes. Pauls. Thompson. Yes. Festerson. Yes. Gurnett. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
17.
Thank you.
That is contingent on the proper permits, is it not?
Yes. Yes, and I was going to, if I may, I believe I looked at the agenda yesterday and saw that there was a right-of-way permit that was necessary. Is that correct?
Planning would have to answer that.
Planning would have to answer?
Check with this man right over here. He can tell you exactly what you need.
Okay, thanks.
19 is Dickey's Barbecue Pit, 1912 South 67th Street, on-sale beer license, new application, new location. There's a communication from planning about permits. There's communications from their attorney requesting an amendment to delete out the outdoor area. If you delete out the outdoor area, you would not need any contingency.
Public hearing on agenda item 19 is today. Proponents, please.
Mr. President, members of the council, Mike Kelly, 7134 Pacific. I'm here with the applicant, Mr. Swift, who's in the back. Who's going to, if you have any questions. Yeah, we were going to put a patio out there originally to begin with. Sometimes in the permit process, and that delays things. They're open. They want to have their license. This is beer only, so we'll be back to talk to you about that at a later time. But for now, we're deleting it. Asking you to delete it.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? It's been moved and seconded.
The amendment?
The amendment? The amendment has been moved and seconded. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem? Yes. Milton? Yes. Pauls? Yes. Thompson? Yes. Festerson? Yes. Gurnett? Yes. Mr. President?
Yes.
Jerem passed the second time for a potential conflict of interest.
Roll call.
Jerem? Yes. Milton? Yes. Pauls? Yes. Thompson? Yes. Festerson? Yes. Gurnett? Yes. Mr. President?
Yes.
Jerem passed the second time. 19 is passed as amended, 601 passing. 20 is Dickey's Barbecue Pit, 15825 West Maple Road, Suite 107, on sale beer, new application, new location.
Public hearing on agenda item 20 is today. Proponents, please.
Mr. President, members of the council, Mike Kelly, 7134 Pacific. Apparent, same client, same operation. We thought to better serve Council Lady Mountains area, we better have one out there as well. So same thing.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem? Milton? Yes. Pauls? Thompson? Yes. Festerson? Yes. Gurnett? Yes. Mr. President?
Yes.
Jerem passed second time. 20 is adopted, adopted at 601 passing. Item 21, the Corky Canvas, 3157 Farnham Street, Suite 701, request permission for an addition to their present Class I liquor license of an area to the north, and this is within 88 feet of the First Unitarian Church. So if you wish to grant this, you would need to have a motion to grant. If the church located within 150 feet does not object at a hearing before the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission pursuant to Nebraska Revised Statutes 53-177-2.
Public hearing on agenda item 21 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, Melissa Wacker, Corky Campus LLC. We're located at 3157 Farnham. I am here as the general manager on behalf of the owner.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Motion to approve in accordance with the
It's been moved and seconded to approve, subject to the language that the clerk read. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem. Milton. Pauls. Thompson. Festerson. Gurnett. Mr. President.
Yes.
21 is adopted with that language.
Thank you very much.
7-0.
The public hearing on agenda items numbers 22 through 51 are today. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item you wish to address, identify yourself by your name, address, who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. There are a couple of areas that we want to address though first. I know one is item number 42. Mr. Jerem.
Are we still in the public hearing? Or?
Yes.
They're just here to answer questions, I suspect.
Here to ask questions.
Well, I'm speaking on item number 42, and I would ask that the representative of Heartland Workforce Solutions come down and if you could, just for people attending and maybe watching, explain what this is, why it's so significant, what it means in terms of our community and opportunity, and why hopefully it offers so much promise to people living in high poverty and unemployment census tracts.
Hi, Erin Porterfield, 1009 North 50th Avenue, Omaha. Good afternoon. I am happy to be here because this is one of those projects that is formed as a brainchild between a number of people, looking at best practices, listening to the communities that need us, and adjusting some of our expectations as we go. So originally, we were thinking about putting together a project for high barrier people, that have lots of barriers to employment. And when we put those numbers together, we weren't really sure that it got us where we wanted to be, which sent us back together with the mayor's office, with Councilman Jerem, with our staff to take a look at what can we do as a workforce system that's different than just producing another program with a limited number of people. And what we brought together was based on best practices and coaching from a variety of national organizations and put together as a team. It's a three-prong approach. One is to engage businesses, especially those from high industry, high demand, high wage sectors, to recruit talent creatively in high unemployment, high poverty census tracts, really. We'll need to look at census tracts rather than just the city of Omaha, but really get focused in our strategies. So that's one big one, is engaging businesses to recruit creatively in those areas. Secondly, it's to implement the National Career Readiness Certificate. That is a method of communication for job and career seekers and business. Business has come to us to say, can you give people a test? How do I know what someone knows when they come to us? Can you help us with that? It would help us engage talent the way we want to. And in looking across the country, looking to Iowa, looking to consultants to the Chamber of Commerce in Omaha, the high recommendation is to use the National Career Readiness Certificate. It helps employers understand reading ability, math ability, and information seeking ability, and provides people rating scales. And what we want to do is train people on that ahead of time, help them test, provide education to help them increase their test scores, and also work with businesses to understand how it actually makes it easier for them to recruit talent when they recognize the NCRC. And then that final prong is service coordination. We are surrounded in our community by tremendous programs all together, looking at enhancing our workforce, decreasing the unemployment rate and the poverty rate. We have many partners that do that with us across the city with varying expertise and target populations, whether it's Urban League or it's Goodwill or it's Project Everlast. All these different programs often serve particular populations best and with particular industries. Not always is it easy for people who are career seekers or education seekers to understand where is the best fit for them and how do they get connected. We want to do a better job of connecting our providers and making sure that people don't fall through the cracks. And so that's that third prong. And again, it's engaging businesses to creatively recruit talent using that National Career Readiness Certificate as a best practice and enhancing the efficiencies of our service coordination throughout our workforce system.
Thank you for that. I would, and you may sit down if you wish. Perhaps others have questions for you. But as a council, we've come together unanimously in the area recently of unemployment and poverty in the portions of our city that unfortunately have incredibly high rates of people who are not working, haven't worked generationally now. In some cases, we met someone, had a family that hadn't worked in 4 generations. And people who want to work and don't know how to connect with where the jobs are, feel disconnected, don't have money, don't have transportation, need educational remediation skills, and together in participating with the mayor's office and with you and other stakeholders, HRR, who sits on your board, Spencer Danner,
right.
Marty Bielek, Gail. We've collectively heard the voices of our council members that the original idea we put forward in terms of the high barriers to employment group of people, so to speak, with this money would only allow us to help a few people, because the costs are staggering to address those who in our community have significantly more barriers that need to be addressed before they're employed. So, in listening to our council members, you going back to the table with the administration, we've come up with this idea that's best practice, evidence-based, that's accountable to us, and will help a lot of people, and identify and help employers connect people, and vice versa. Will help those get the training they need to find out what their skills are, their skills deficits, address them, and then for the first community in the state to do the NCRC process, and hopefully be a leader in the state to show others the promise that this holds. And ideally, if this shows it works, and I'm confident that it will, then maybe taking it to the next level. But very excited about it, and it's a good day for Omaha today. So thank you.
It is, and again, thank you for your support, City Council.
Thank you. Mr. Festus.
Thanks, Mr. President. Yeah, I was also just going to commend Sporterfield for her work and for the contract that we have before us today, and for Councilman Jerem's work along these lines that really began back during the budget process to initiate this. And when you look through the paperwork, as I mentioned this morning, it's obvious a lot of thought and crafting has gone into this proposal. It's more detailed than most any other job training proposal I've seen before. So I'm impressed with it. I think it is the right emphasis, and I think it will make a difference. And I agree in trying to provide the context for all this, which is this council's efforts to address poverty in the community and anti-violence in the community and violence prevention. I think we all know it's not just law enforcement that will make a difference along those lines, but it's got to be what we have on our agenda today: job training, like we're discussing right now, truancy prevention, that also has several items on our agenda and in this category right now that perhaps Mr. Warren wants to address some more also, but that's an important picture, and I'm happy to see those programs continue in our high schools as well. So appreciate them being here to provide that hope and opportunity that I think will be the other part of this picture that we all care about and are putting an emphasis on, in addition to the small emerging business program we've all been working on for a couple of years now, longer than that, but intensely the last couple of years, and now seeing some results from that effort too. So that's all part of the big picture we want to communicate today, and I think job training is a big part of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gurnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ditto from South Omaha for all your efforts. But if nobody else wants to talk about 42, I'd like to move to item 44. That's okay.
One more. I think there's one more for.
But I yield.
Yeah, one more. Ms. Mel.
Ms. Porterfield, and I've gotten asked this question a number of times. If you are a person who is unemployed and would like to see what Heartland Workforce Solutions has to offer, what's the best way to contact you?
Best way to do it is even to just stop in to 5752 Ames, the American Job Center, and you don't have to have an appointment or even a clear idea of what there is and what you want. People will help you, even at the front desk, line up with labor market information on the computers or uploading resume, getting help getting started, checking in on workshops, or the many co-located partners there who have access to training dollars, education dollars, work experience contacts, etc. We have job training fairs. We teach basic computer skills and soft skills training. There are many things that happen there at the One Stop, but even better than that, it is about referring into the community to partners who are in people's neighborhoods or in libraries, depending on what the need and access is. So just stopping in, getting started.
Great. I'm hoping that maybe anybody that's going to report this will list how to get in touch with you for those out there out there looking, or for somebody that may have lost their job and is maybe looking for some direction. Absolutely. So they don't have to have an appointment, they can just stop in.
Stop in.
It's wonderful. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll get to you in just a second, Mr. Gurnett, but I just wanted to add my thanks as well, but also to remind people that there is a nonprofit side to Heartland Workforce Solutions, and I would encourage businesses, the philanthropic community, and others to help us in this effort. I mean, we did this city council did a tremendous amount of work to get to this point. Thanks to Councilmember Jerem specifically for his work, his leadership in getting this going and getting it to this point. But I want to remind people as well that there's a nonprofit side that you can certainly contribute to, and it could help us even further develop this program. So I want to remind people of that. And I also want to thank you for the work that you do, Ms. Porterfield, in making sure that all of this works, and a very sound contract, as Mr. Festerson pointed out, a very sound contract, one of the best I've seen as well. So again, thank you. Appreciate it.
For your support.
And I know Mr. Gurnett wants to get to 43. I'd like to get to 41, 43, and 46.
You're the
because
president.
I think we all have them. Because this is another effort by the council, by this city council, to address truancy in the area. And so I'll yield the floor now to Mr. Gurnett.
Thank you again, Mr. President. I don't think there's not a member on this council that has at one time or another displayed his or her efforts, and previous councils as well, since I've been here a couple of days, that understands and has a solid place in their hearts for neighborhoods. And a few years ago, we had an institution located in Councilman Jerem's district called the Neighborhood Center. And for whatever reason, I won't go into the demolishing details of that, but out of those ashes, through the leadership of Councilman Jerem and hopefully a little bit of myself in abstention, came up with it kept people together, kept neighbors together, and they formed Nebraska for Civic Reform. And out of that grew One Omaha. But today, I still hear, what's One Omaha? And why are we giving them money? Well, One Omaha's rep is here, and I'd like to have Julie come up.
Thank you, Councilman Gurnett. And good afternoon, council members. I'm Julie Smith, 7722 Haskell. And as the program manager of One Omaha, I wanted to take a minute to reinforce the important role Omaha neighborhood groups play in the civic and social landscape. Neighborhood associations are a vital piece of Omaha's democracy, and strengthening neighborhood associations will ultimately lead to higher civic satisfaction and increased citizen participation and engagement. Over the past year, I've come to understand the vital importance of neighborhood organizations in Omaha. And not only are they a vessel for public opinion and resident representation within local government, but they're collectives of really dedicated individuals who donate thousands of hours of time to improving Omaha neighborhood by neighborhood. One Omaha has been welcomed with open arms by neighborhood advocates all across the city as they've been looking for support since the closing of the neighborhood center. Neighborhood volunteers invest well over 26,000 hours of community service on an annual basis, valued at over $500,000. And One looks forward to continuing assisting the neighborhood alliances and neighborhood associations to make their efforts more impactful and resident leaders more effective. The city's vital support to One Omaha is recognized and appreciated by Omaha's neighborhood leaders. And 2015 was a great start to a really important initiative, but we have a lot more work to do to revitalize and sustain neighborhood organizing in Omaha. I thank you for your support.
Thank you for every ounce of energy that you have put into this. Heard nothing but positive things wherever you go. And they understand that we're starting out with a new set of building blocks.
Right.
Even though that we had a great start with the neighborhood center. And I think that was the name of the program, was Building Blocks.
Right.
Where neighbors could come and learn about in various workshops how to write a grant. That place was more than just an opportunity for someone to come in and print off a newsletter. You could vent. You could get connected to other resources. And One Omaha is now taking that to its next level. And I believe neighbors understand that when you make that type of a leap, there's a time frame in there. But we know that we have someone there in you to get us to that level, and we appreciate that. When you show up at SONA meetings and provide an overview of what's happened within the last 30 days, I know you're doing the same thing throughout the other 6 alliances or other 5 alliances in the city of Omaha. So we greatly appreciate all of your efforts, and we know that $50,000 is really a drop in the bucket, but we know that it's going to be wisely spent on the 3 areas that you just capsulated there very much. So thank you again for all that you do and what One Omaha does.
Thanks, Councilman Grenade.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I just wanted to recognize the D2 Center, the Latino Center for the Midlands, and the Urban League for 3 grants that they are about to receive because of the work that they do in the truancy program. And I wanted to give them an opportunity to talk a little bit about what some of their progress has been. I think we get reports periodically, but I think it's good to showcase some of the work that these organizations are doing, and to keep reminding people that this council stepped forward in a huge way to start granting dollars for this effort. And it has borne fruit. I think in the paper this past week, we saw the number of African-American graduates from college going up. We saw the grade levels of students still in school starting to go up. So it's clear to us that, you know, what this council has done, what we've done here in helping these organizations address truancy has had great results. And just wanted to give the Latino Center and the Urban League, and if D2 Center is here as well, you know, just a few minutes to talk about your programs.
Just briefly, Councilman, President Gray, members of the City Council, Thomas Warren, Urban League of Nebraska, 3040 Lake Street, here as a proponent for item 46, asking that you consider renewing the funding for the Youth Tennis Navigator program with the Urban League of Nebraska. These funds provide a portion of the salaries at 3 sites that we have. That would be Monroe Middle School, Omaha Benson High School, and if I could correct, it's actually Omaha Northwest High School, the funding provided by the city. And it's also a part of a larger public donor philanthropic nonprofit collaboration where we actually have 7 sites in Omaha Public Schools District, 3 high schools, Omaha North, Benson and Northwest, 4 middle schools, Monroe, Macmillan, Nathan Hale, and now King Science Center. It's had a huge impact on improving educational outcomes, academic achievement, test scores. We have seen improvements in graduation rates. As the Councilman mentioned, it has also translated into enrollment in the post-secondary educational institutions, as well as graduation rates at our public institutions, UNO and UNL. I think directly related to improved school attendance, direct correlation. Improved school attendance, improve academic achievement. Councilman Festerson mentioned violence prevention and what we've seen in terms of what is a better and effective intervention strategy than ensuring that our students are engaged in pro-social activities and attending school on a regular basis. What we've seen conversely when they're not in school is that they are engaging in risky and delinquent behavior, sometimes criminal behavior. And so we know that if we put some emphasis on prevention and effective intervention strategies, we see results. And in fact, there was some concern that when we started focusing on truancy and improving school attendance, it would increase the number of youth and students referred to the Juvenile County Attorney's Office, and it would flood the courts, and that it would lead to an increase in confinement. And in fact, we've seen the exact opposite. In the past few years, there has been a significant reduction in the rate of confinement for juveniles at the Douglas County Youth Center, almost 50%. And so I think if you look at the impact of these programs, not only have we seen improved academic outcomes, but we've also seen a reduction in the rate of confinement for juveniles at the Douglas County Youth Center. So again, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. The Latino Center for the Midlands, ND2, is here, I think. If you'd like to make a couple of comments. And thank you all for the work you continue to do. The reports that we get are just glowing.
Fantastic. My name is Melissa Mayo. I'm the director of the Pathways to Success program at the Latino Center of the Midlands. Address is 4821 South 24th Street. I want to thank you today for your past and future commitment to the youth of South Omaha. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what we achieved last school year, and I have actually our student advocate who is funded through this grant here with me today, Melvin Ramirez, and he's going to be speaking about what's been forthcoming this school year. We served 53 youth last year at South High School. These are chronically absent youth, meaning that they're missing 10% or more days of attendance in a school year. They are referred to us through counselors, teachers, social workers, and sometimes even themselves. They'll come to our program wanting help. This past school year, in the 2014-2015 school year, 58% of our students improved their attendance by an average of 40%. Of those students, 60% of them reduced their absences to below 10 absences a year, meaning that they missed 1 or fewer days of school each month. 98% of our students were retained in our program. We have a voluntary program. No one is making the students participate in our program. This is something that is it is recommended by the school, but it's not, there are no terms by which they have to participate in our program. So having a 98% retention rate of students that are vulnerable and have risk issues, I think is really commendable, and I want to really speak to Melvin's efforts at the school. In terms of academics, 80% of our students last year were on track to graduate, meaning that they earned 12 or more credits in the school year. 94% of our seniors graduated on time. One young man had to take a math course in the summer, and he has since graduated as well. 82% of our seniors enrolled in the program have enrolled in a post-secondary institution. Last year we had 4 Susan T. Buffett Scholarship recipients and 1 Goodrich Scholarship recipient, and 10 of our 14 students attending post-secondary institutions received a full or partial scholarship. And I must say, there's not a magic solution to addressing truancy. I think it's individualized to every student. Melvin Ramirez is on site at South High School every day in working with the students, helping them through times that are often, sometimes I think adults couldn't handle some of the challenges that our youth have. And so I want to turn it over to Melvin for him to give you an update about what's going on this school year.
Good afternoon. My name is Melvin Ramirez. I'm the student advocate at South High School.
I'm very thankful to be here, and I'm thankful for the contributions that I've made so far. I strongly believe that they've made an effect in our youth's outcomes so far, and just to show that, I'd like to give you some data points. To begin, as of right now, we're currently serving 38 youth at Omaha South High School. Out of those 38 youth, 84% of them received at least 6 credits in the fall semester of 2015. 65% of the 38 students that we're serving were in school at least 90% of the time in the fall, which shows that significantly they have bettered their attendance. With that said, we also have 12 seniors in the program right now. Out of those 12 seniors, all 12 of them are on track to graduate. 10 of those 12 seniors are currently employed and balancing well their time in school and their time at work. One last point, out of those 12 seniors, 11 of them are college bound. They have already applied for scholarships, colleges, either to a new higher education institute or a university. We're very proud of the students. We believe that we're being very successful because contributions like this and myself shows a lot of hope in them, that we believe that they're going to be the strong future leaders of our city. And they're aware of that, and that's why every day they're working hard to make sure that they're that one day. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I just thought it was important for us to hear, how our dollars are being spent. We're not putting in a lot of dollars or grand theft dollars, but we're putting in enough dollars to make a difference. And just want to take the opportunity for them to showcase what they have done, and also to, again, for this council to reflect on what we have done as a group to make sure that these efforts continue to move forward. Mr. Jerem.
My comments, I would echo those sentiments as well, and I was intending to speak on number 45. Number 45. So unless there's anyone else who wants to speak on this, I can wait.
Mr. Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Melissa, what year did Pathways to Success start? Maybe I missed that when you...
This is our 5th year at South High School.
At 5th year, okay. Back in 2013, I was a victim of a crime. And the 5 youth that were apprehended based on police investigation had a total of well over 600 days truancy. So yeah, I'll be supporting this. We've had success. All of the agencies have set benchmarks and have met them. It doesn't matter what the title of it is, what comes out of the effort. And we're seeing that by everybody that's involved here, from Latino Center in the Midlands to the Urban League, and all of those that are providing these types of services. We're seeing results, and that's a good thing. And hopefully those 5 youth from 2013 are making progress. Well, I know of one that isn't. But we need to continue these efforts in every way that we can. So I appreciate what you do, Chief Warren, what you do at the Urban League, all of the agencies that have come forward over the years that I've been up here, that work with youth and try to make a difference. I like to be patting them on the back instead of them looking over their shoulder, watching their back. So thank you again. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Mr. Jerem, I know you want to talk about another subject.
Yeah, today's agenda, you come on down. Did you want to add? You're with D2?
Yes, I'm with D2.
D2?
Crystal Cardenas, D2 Center, 1941 South 42nd Street, Suite 503.
And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you guys. Your support is greatly appreciated. And just, we appreciate you guys supporting the Youth Academic Navigator Program with the D2 Center. We have served a total for the year 2015 over 200 students that are disengaged or at the point of dropping out from high school to earn their high school diploma. We enrolled about 100 students this year alone and have had over 50 students graduate. So we're very proud of that. We are committed to building long-term relationships with these youth. So that means that we are within the schools working closely with OPS, but we stay with them. If they leave the OPS district, then we follow to wherever they're at. We have some students that are in Bellevue, or we work with Douglas and Sarpy County from the court, referrals from the court and from other agencies. So we're just very grateful that you guys are on board and support all the efforts that we do, the D2 Center, the Urban League, and the Latino Center of the Business. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jerem.
And I would hope that people pick up on the correlation. You can pay on the front end for truancy reduction and making an investment in education, or, as we see with Heartland Workforce Solutions, you can add zeros if you're dealing with this problem on the back end. And, if you invest in education in our youth, keep them in school, get them graduated, get them into, whether it's careers in trades or higher education, we don't have to have such huge investments. But today, it's a very significant day. We're doing all these at once. And then, of course, once people are working, then hopefully living in neighborhoods, they're dealing with the two Julies that are here today. The item number 45 is how we have invested in an effort to educate and empower people from neighborhoods in learning about engaging in this process. And it just mentions Omaha by Design, but I seem to recall that other partners in this endeavor include MAPPA, Douglas County Health Department, One Omaha, Mode Shift, Live Well, and I believe they're still involved. So Julie, if you want to come down and talk about Citizens Academy and this investment briefly, your partners, and what it is you hope to achieve.
Hi, I'm Julie Riley. I'm the Executive Director of Omaha by Design. And our office is at 6001 Dodge Street right now. This application to the city for funding is an outgrowth of Omaha by Design's recent strategic planning, where we have decided on a much stronger focus on public outreach and education regarding the urban design and policy environment in Omaha. And we are working with all of our colleagues in nonprofits and with many people here at city government to achieve these ends. So this funding will support a number of different outreach activities, but one of the ones that I'd like to highlight is the Citizens Academy for Omaha's Future. This is an educational opportunity that's been offered 3 times now already in Omaha. And it will be offered again very soon in the spring. We're sending out the announcements now for anyone who would like to apply to attend the Citizens Academy. But it is a partnership between Omaha by Design, Metro, the Douglas County Health Department, Live Well Omaha, Mode Shift Omaha, and One Omaha to try to help our citizens know more and be able to engage more constructively in the development and planning processes for our city and our neighborhoods. So we really very much appreciate the support and look forward to working together on this and other programs that Omaha by Design will be developing.
And I'm glad to hear that the process and your efforts are expanding, as well as continuing to partner with those organizations that you've mentioned. They're a very important process or component in the recipe for why the first few Citizens Academies were so successful.
Yes.
I was fortunate enough to speak at a couple of those, and it really is a neat thing to see people, bright-eyed and willing, interested to learn about how to participate more in our processes in their city government. So thank you for your efforts, and look forward to supporting this.
Thank you. Mr. Pauls?
Thank you, Mr. President. Of course, I support all the good things that were explained to us today, but I want to give a word of a caution. And Gary brought this to my mind when he was first started to speak. Several years ago, I was on the board of directors. I thought good things were going on. In fact, I was just really impressed with how hard everybody was working. And I served a couple years as the president of this board. And lots of good things were happening in this board. That's why I'm telling you to be cautious. I left because I was in the legislature, and I moved on to do some different things. And then I was talking to somebody a year or two later after I left that board. And that board, what board did you say was dissolved? In the Neighborhood Center. I smiled to myself. Here was something, I was doing some good stuff, and then all of a sudden, because I know I lived it, and then all of a sudden I came back a couple years later, it was gone. So what I'm saying is be careful. You're doing good things. We have to stay on top of things so they don't disappear for some reason. So I commend you for what you're doing, but the work is still in progress. And I think as a council we need to keep that in mind, because the Neighborhood Center was here, and then it was gone, and for various reasons. But when I served on it, I was just a small sliver of it, but good things were happening. So in your organizations, good things could be happening. But somehow, if you fall out of disfavor with somebody, you might find yourself talking about you in the past. So I'm just encouraging the council for us to stay on top of things, and for you out there to continue what you're doing, because the things you talked about today, I don't see how people could argue with all, because you're giving us good, hard data. It's not I feel good stuff, you're showing us, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Been a motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve items
22 through
23 through 51. No further lights, roll call.
Jerem.
Yes.
Milton.
Yes.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
22 through 51 are all adopted, 7-0. Ordinance on final reading, item 52, ordinance approving a redevelopment agreement, which includes the purchase of proposed redevelopment project area by the city with the Performing Arts Society for the redevelopment site located southwest corner of 11th and Douglas Street. A, B, and C are all communications and documents.
Motion to deny.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to deny. No further lights, roll call.
Jerem.
Yes.
Milton.
Yes.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
52 is not passed, 7-0. Item 53, resolution that attached the slips in Blackstone Tax and Refinancing Renewal Project Plan for the redevelopment site located at 124 South 39th Street, which proposes to rehabilitate 31-bedroom apartments at affordable market rents, recommending the city participate through the allocation of TIF is hereby approved.
Public hearing on agenda item 53 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon. Bridget Hadley, City Planning. Before you is a project in the Blackstone District, and it is outlined in the green. It is a unit that will have 30 bedrooms, one-bedrooms. I had the opportunity to go through the structure with the developer who was here, and it is in very poor shape. Unfortunately, it had not been reported to code enforcement. Properties that are on our code enforcement list it's a complaint-driven process. So this was missed and certainly would have been. So this particular project is an opportunity to bring this project up to code, get it livable, make it available for market rents, and also helping to add to more housing in that Blackstone district, and helping to increase the density, which is very important along this Farnham Street corridor, which is a very important transit corridor. So again, it will have 30 units, and it will be a $250,000 TIF, The estimated total project cost is a little over $2.4 million, and there will be a TIF contribution of $10,000 that is going to be allocated to the Midtown Public Improvement Fund. And with that, I would just ask for your approval.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard?
Matt Dwyer, 144 South 39th Street, Green Slate Development, the developer behind the project. So happy to answer any questions the council might have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Mr. Jerem.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief. If you look at this map, council members, you'll see this is one of the classic old slip-ins that were developed decades ago, and what happened with this one was through a lack of maintenance, a lack of care, concern, a neighborhood that went down in a spiral, the business corridor disappeared along Farnham Street. It just fell into really, really bad repair, and you have an investment team and others now, but in large part, one of the partners here before us today, once we did this BID that we saw work up in other parts of our city as a model for redevelopment, really be a launching pad for investment in Blackstone. So now you reach the point where there's a team that's, I think, up around $50 million or more in investment. Think about it, just in the year and a half to 2 years now that we've done the BID in the two-way street, that is willing to tackle gut at substantial expense and make what was a detriment to the neighborhood and this old slip-in into something really as an asset. So it's a wow to me that this model for redeveloping the urban business corridors and districts in our city can flourish like this to this extent. So did you want to add something?
No, I just want to say thanks. I appreciate your support and support for the council over the years.
Thank you. Mr. Festerson.
Thanks, Mr. President. I also just wanted to note Mr. Dwyer and Green Slate Development for all the work they have done in this business district, which continues the great success we've had in our business districts across the city. But I also want to recognize him for, outside of his for-profit work, for his volunteer work. As you may have read, he's working with the Parks Department now and the neighborhood associations in the Dundee area to help raise money to restore the sunken gardens at Happy Hollow and Underwood Avenue, to restore it to its historical significance and appearance. So I very much appreciate his work along those lines, and look forward to helping you get that accomplished.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you. There's been a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem? Yes. Milton? Yes. Pauls? Yes. Thompson? Yes. Festerson? Yes. Gurnett? Yes. Mr. President?
Yes.
53 is adopted, 7-0. Item 54, resolution attached the Breakers Tax Amortization Financing Project Plan for a redevelopment site located at 415 Leavenworth Street, which proposed to convert the former OPPD power plant into a 217-unit residential community with 1, 2, and 3-bedroom market-rate apartments and on-site parking. Recommend the city participate through the allocation of TIF is hereby approved.
Public hearing on agenda item 54 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon again. Bridget Hadley, City Planning. This particular project has been around our city planning department for quite a while, trying to find ways to have this site redeveloped. It is this site outlined in this turquoise blue color. It is the former OPPD plant, just right off the riverfront. And there was an opportunity that was envisioned to completely redevelop the entire site from end to end, and then the CSO project came forward and really went through the entire site. So the project is, the site has really sat vacant and certainly undeveloped because it was just a challenging site to redevelop. New Style has come forward. They've looked at it and they have totally re-envisioned this former public utility to be converted into residential housing. So it definitely gives us access to the riverfront, one of Omaha's greatest natural resources, and it continues to help repurpose older structures. What has happened with this is that it will be developed into 217 market rate apartments. It will have parking on site within the building, about 180 stalls and about 135 stalls on the outside of the building, basically contained on site. The developer has also offered to contribute $100,000 of the TIF to go toward improving Leavenworth Street closer to the site, to give a better entrance into that site. Because if anyone, and this is Leavenworth Street, if anyone is coming down that site, there's really no reason you'd want to be going in that area. So in order to attract residential dwellers to come there, that street will be improved and lots of things will happen, and I think I'll let the developer maybe go into the specifics. But this entire site, not only the buildings, which here is another visual. There are 3 different buildings on this site. This building right here is called the switchgear. This long, linear, narrow building is called the turbine hall. And then this building here is the boiler plant. So each of those will be totally reconfigured to create the 217 apartments. And I know that most of this was seen in the Omaha World Herald back in December of last year, how it could be re-envisioned. I mean, this was one of the potential site plans, how the building, again, could be re-envisioned. This is that Leavenworth Street that would be improved to give a great vista as you look toward the boiler plant building. One thing I will say about this site, as I was just talking with Todd, who represents New Style, the developer, the site will likely be replatted. So right now the project includes this entire site. It will likely be replatted to exclude a lot of the site that the CSO goes through. So before it comes back to you for an agreement, it will likely be replatted, and I just wanted to mention that. This project has about $6.2 million in TIF. Estimated total project cost is a little over $38 million. Nothing to sneeze at there. And again, $100,000 in contribution of the TIF toward improving Leavenworth Street. So with that, I would ask for your approval.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard?
Todd Easton, New Style Development, 2223 Dodge Street. And as Bridget said, there will be a replat that's going to be in front of you here on March 1st, I believe. And we will be subdividing, after the replat, we'll be subdividing this southern piece off. There's a potential possibility for a park someday, and so we want to kind of split that off to make it easier at this point. We got to think that'd be a good opportunity to do that now. So here to answer any other questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Jerem.
Again, this is something to be very excited about. When Mr. Heastan told me about this originally, I thought maybe he had finally reached the point where he had lost his marbles. that he has taken on some pretty difficult development challenges and in repurposing abandoned buildings, neglected buildings. And I can't imagine the degree of Imagineering required to see the potential in this particular site, and your willingness, despite all the issues with the CSO, the flooding, environmental, structural, everything else involved in this, when you figured out a way to make it work. And so I'm just blown away by this one. So thank you.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem. Yes. Milton. Yes. Pauls. Thompson. Yes. Festerson. Yes. Gurnett. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
54 is adopted, 7-0. Item 55, resolution that the lottery operators agreement between the city and EHPV Lottery Services LLC DB Big Red Keno should be and hereby is renewed for a term of 5 years commencing May 15, 2016.
Public hearing on agenda item number 55 is today. Proponents, please.
Yes, so Bill Harvey, General Counsel for Big Red Keno, 11248 John Galt Boulevard. And we appreciate the opportunity to have the council consider this renewal of our contract today, and happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Festerson.
Thanks, Mr. President. Well, just continuing the Love Fest stuff today, I thought I'd point out that Big Red has done a good job as our Keno operator. The Finance Committee, which serves as the Keno Committee as well, has reviewed the contract and recommended favorably. And partially as a result, I know that Keno revenues are up in the city, almost $600,000 over budget in 2015, and that's one sign of a good operator. So we appreciate your work and look forward to continuing that relationship.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No further lights. Is there a motion?
Move approval. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. No further lights. Maybe one of these days we're going to get this legislature to see it our way and cut the time down a little bit for between games. But we'll still we'll keep working on that, Bill. It's been moved and seconded. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem. Yes. Milton. Yes. Pauls. Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
55 is adopted 7-0. Item 56, resolution that the City Law Department be directed to conclude this damage claim submitted with the City of Omaha for damages as a result of sewer collapse and subsequent sewer backup at their commercial property located at 1904 Farnham Street.
Public hearing on agenda item 56 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Second, no further lights. Roll call.
Jerem. Yes. Milton. Yes. Pauls. Yes. Thompson. Yes. Festerson. Yes. Gurnett. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
56 is adopted 7-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7F, agenda item 57 should be laid over 3 weeks for publication and public hearing. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7D, the public hearing on agenda items number 58 through 63 shall be held on the third reading. Ordinance on second reading. Item 64, ordinance authorizing the city to enter into an interlocal cooperation agreement with Douglas County, Sarpy County, City of Bellevue, Papillion, La Vista, Nebraska State Patrol, United States Department of Treasury, Internal Revenue Service to reauthorize the Omaha East Central Nebraska Metropolitan Drug Task Force for a term of 5 years.
Public hearing on agenda item number 64 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Next item.
Item 65, ordinance to approve a contract services agreement between the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau and Tolly's Management Group for the promotion of the city.
Public hearing on agenda item 65 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Next item.
Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, the public hearing on agenda items 66 through 70 shall be held on the third reading. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7C, the public hearing on agenda items 71 through 76 shall be held on the second reading.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. No further lights. Roll call.
Jerem. Yes. Milton. Yes. Pauls. Yes. Thompson. Yes. Festerson. Yes. Gurnett. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
We stand adjourned at 3:28 p.m.
Thanks, everybody.
Spacious skies, for amber